Hello, we're here at HeyUGuys HQ. I'm joined with Cassam Looch, and we're going to be talking about the news that reportedly broke this week, that Daniel Craig is not going to be taking on the role of Bond. Of course, everyone's talking about Bond at the moment. In fact, it's all we've been talking about the past year, despite the fact we haven't had any official confirmation. Lots of names thrown in the hat. Idris Elba's been spoken about a lot. Tom Hiddleston appears to be the favourite at the moment. Who do you want? It's the million-dollar question. Who do you want to be the new James Bond?
I definitely don't want either of those. So no to Idris, no to Tom Hiddleston. I'll explain why in a bit. I also don't want Daniel Craig to come back. So I know he was reportedly offered £65 million to do it.
68.
68.
Just 3 million difference.
Oh, no, I wouldn't do it for 65 either.
No, I wouldn't do it for 65.
I think taking out the spin of that, I think they probably offered him 68 to do a few films rather than just the one, which kind of makes it more reasonable, just the 20-odd million per film. But I'm glad he's not doing it, or hopefully not doing it, because the last film definitely felt like the end of the story for his Bond. I wasn't in favour of him being Bond in the first place, I'll say that. And I think I was proven right by the end of it, because the last 3 films weren't that great. The first one was good, though. And if they can get someone to play that kind of Bond, that would be the film I want to see. And that would mean someone a little bit younger, which is why I don't want Idris necessarily to do it, because I think he's a little bit too old. And Tom Hiddleston's just a bit too safe. I think he doesn't have the presence of Bond.
I do think, though, when we're dealing with a franchise where we kind of romanticise over the traditional aspects to such an extent, Tom Hiddleston encapsulates everything that is Bond about Bond. Now, obviously,
Roger Moore Bond, not the other Bonds.
That's very true. But when we obviously we want to be kind of progressive, we want to move into the future, we want to take Bond to the next level. But as a franchise, it's one of the very few that I don't think we actually need to do that. I think we can actually have this nostalgia and thrive off that in a way that means Hiddleston could actually be a decent shout. Although he's not actually my pick. I agree about age. I think there's a few great... I mean, Dominic West, I think, would have been a great Bond if it was perhaps a few years ago. Yeah. Christian Bale, it felt like he was someone that...
I still think he could do it.
He probably could do it. I mean, he can lose weight like that. Maybe he can drop a few years. He's such a good method actor. But I actually think we should try and go a bit more... Not unknown, necessarily, but, I mean, we've got some great kind of young British actors. I mean, Ed Skrein has obviously shown he can do the whole kind of leading man and action franchise with the Transporter kind of remakes, reboots.
He was in Kill Your Friends with Nicholas Hoult, who I think would be a really good shout as well.
Holt's a really good shout. I mean, you could even go a bit sort of left field. You've got Ed Spielers, who from Downton Abbey, who's he's just got that kind of charisma, perhaps. Yeah. David Ajala. I mean, there's actors who aren't in big movies necessarily, but does it need to be a big star, do you think, or can we unearth a talent, or does it need to be someone with that established?
The thing is, everyone's going to talk about the big stars just because they're the easiest ones to reference, and you can kind of see pictures of them and kind of imagine them in various scenarios. Because Henry Cavill is another one that people have talked about who would be the worst choice ever.
Yeah, I think you've got to act a bit better to be Bond.
And have some personality might help. I don't know.
I'm interviewing him next week. I'm not really.
Cheers, Superman. But there's a guy who I think would be really good, and my personal choice for this is Matthew Goode. I think he would be amazing.
Matthew Goode. I mean, he's handsome is an understatement.
Oh, have you interviewed him?
I haven't actually.
Deeply into his eyes?
I don't know if they're going to let me after this.
Not allowed anymore.
No, but no, he'd be perfect. And also there's Alan Leach as well, the Irish actor, who's got a lot of charisma. Again, he was also in The Imitation Game.
Yep.
There are a lot of options out there. Do you think that perhaps the Tom Hiddleston links are just a little bit lazy journalism because it's so obvious? I mean, I think we should go a bit left field with this.
I think the problem with having someone that well known as well is that they're not going to stick around. So you're signing someone up for maybe 3 films max. And I think if you go a bit younger and a little bit more unknown, you can have someone who can grow into that role and have some kind of longevity to it as well. The other guy that everyone talks about is Tom Hardy as well. Who I think would be great for a one-off Bond film. And in that case, maybe make him the villain or like a 008 or a 006, one of the agents who might turn or something like that. He'd be great in a Bond film. I just don't think he'd be great as Bond.
He's almost too famous in the sense that I don't know if you'd be able to detach the role from being... The whole time I'd be thinking, that's Tom Hardy as Bond. I don't think I'd ever just go, that's James Bond. I'd like to have someone where we can identify them as being Bond. I think Daniel Craig, obviously Daniel Craig was in a lot of movies, but when he became Bond, he really did become Bond. I don't think Tom Hardy could become Bond. He's almost got too much going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. So if you talk about left field then, what about a female James Bond?
Well, we've definitely got the right people for it. I mean, obviously Daisy Ridley, and Felicity Jones. Although obviously they're both kind of
Star Wars
based at the moment. But I mean, that could be the case, but I don't think necessarily that we should make James Bond a female role. But what we should do is we could have more of a female presence in the movies. So, I mean, I think they work. Moneypenny's becoming more a better character, I think, under Naomi Harris than she has been before. But perhaps a sort of spin-off series. I mean, no one says let's make Superman. Let's have Superman played by a woman, because you've got Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You've got this other character. So I think you could introduce a character into the James Bond franchise. I mean, obviously, Jane Bond is the obvious, if a little bit cliched, kind of suggestion. But I think the idea of having another character and almost having a spin-off series is a really great idea. But James Bond, the actual 007 agent that we're following this franchise, I think should go to one of the actors we've suggested. I think I'd be quite surprised, in fact, if it didn't go to one of the actors.
Oh, really? So you think they will go big?
I think Tom Hiddleston is going to get it.
Oh, no, that'd be the worst choice if it does happen. Just because he's not Bond. And do you think because his last film, I Saw the Light, it really didn't do that well. Yeah. And I'm wondering, can he hold a film on his own? Have you seen a film where he's been the main lead actor in it and it's done really well? Not
really, no. But that's being said,
he's low-key.
He's low-key. But no, you're right about him being the kind of the lead star in the movie. But at the same time, he's got a huge following. I think him.
But they didn't go out and watch the film, though. They didn't go out and watch I Saw the Light.
Hank Williams.
So, well, the subject. But yeah, I think Bond has more of a fan base than Hiddleston. So they're kind of, it doesn't really matter necessarily who they get. I just would like to see something a little bit different. Definitely not an American. Oh, the worst choice would be an American actor doing a British accent, or just an American playing an American as Bond. That would be so bad. And you've got Jason Bourne. You don't need that. James Bond is an old, middle-aged-ish white guy for me.
What?
Yes, I said it. It's a middle-aged white guy. So I don't think Idris Elba should be Bond either.
No, but I personally, I think obviously it was written as a male character. And I think that's not just the reason why I think it should be a man. I think that the fact is his kind of masculinity is actually very much a theme in the movies, and to his detriment. I think he's flawed. I mean, he gets beguiled by some of the women, and who can actually sort of take sort of information away from him because of through his kind of flaws. I think personally, I think that he should be played by a man in this instance. But I think he can be any race, religion, colour. It doesn't matter for me. I don't, because I think that we have to suspend our disbelief so much with Bond, because every so often he changes his face as a different actor comes in, and we're supposed to abide by this kind of narrative that's supposed to have lasted decades.
Yeah.
So why can't he be an actor? Why can't it be Idris Elba? I mean, what difference does it make?
I mean, the thing is, yeah, I agree with you now. After Skyfall, you can do that, because before there was always the idea that the James Bond 007 is just a persona. It's just an identity given to this secret agent, and various people come in and play that character. With Skyfall, when you saw his kind of childhood, you know that is specifically what James Bond is. So yeah, now it's kind of going to be tricky for them to. It's going to be tricky for them to recast it anyway. It's just going to have to be another reboot, and in that case, they could go all the way. Although I still would prefer Matthew Goode.
I still think most importantly is that we just choose the right person for it. I don't think we should we shouldn't hire some Idris Elba just because he's black. We shouldn't hire Felicity Jones because she's a woman. We should just hire the perfect person for this role. I think it'd be counterproductive to deliberately try and be progressive. I think just being progressive is not thinking about being progressive. You're just doing it. So I think they've
done it with this.
Exactly. Want to just have auditions. Have an open audition where anyone can turn up for the role, be it a man or a woman, and just choose the best Bond.
Could we turn up? Could film critics turn up to this audition for James Bond?
I don't think I'd get the role, personally.
Why?
I don't really think Bond's my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a bit too hairy for Bond.
All right, fair enough. Well, there you go. That's our choices, or who we'd like to see as James Bond. And I think the announcement is going to be soon. So I think when it does happen, we'll talk about it again.
Indeed, but I'm moving on Matthew Goode. We're Team Matthew Goode. Thank you for joining us as we dissect the most important news in the film industry. We'll be back next week to talk about who's going to be playing Michelangelo in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey